Let's get to this weekend, though, when things get a little more interesting.
Yeah, that's when things get hairy. Closer to the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when this potential nor'easter is really starting to wrap itself up. The East Coast could be bracing for powerful winds, heavy rain, and even the continual threat of coastal flooding. We've been dealing with that with Humberto, Imelda, then the king tides early this week, and then just the cherry on top, now those impacts from this nor'easter. So here are the big impacts that we're tracking here. Significant surf and beach impacts. I think that's going to take precedent, especially if you live on spots like the Outer Banks. We're still watching some of those homes with a very close eye. They've been a little sketchy to me. For Friday, the big impacts really start for spots like Savannah, Georgia, out towards Charleston, and then we slowly work our way up the coast. Sunday's where we have a little bit more of a question mark on how significant it could be for New York City and DC.
How far north does this storm actually make it?
Exactly.
We do have a ridge of high pressure. Sometimes that can pin systems down to the south. Here's the overall evolution. The cold front that's producing the rain this morning in the northeast is part of the brewing mechanism.
Yeah, so that cold front sliding off, and then we will see this low starting to develop on the very tail end of it, and that'll pop up right along the Florida Atlantic coast. It will have some warmer water to contend with, so potentially this could be something more subtropical. So we have the influence of not only the frontal boundaries, but also some of the warmer water. We've seen this at one point earlier this year. We had a coastal low off of the Carolinas, and we had some of our correspondents out, and they said this is the worst we've seen it so far with
for them.
Hurricane
It
season.
felt like a tropical storm.
Exactly. So we could
never
be seeing,
got a name.
No, and so we could be seeing something similar for locations right up against the Atlantic coast yet again. Level 2 out of 4 for flash flooding, but we do have that slight shift in the model. Some want to put a lot more substantial rain right on the Outer Banks. So depending upon how close this low gets, the impacts can certainly go up or they can go down.
Yeah, this is sort of a developing forecast. So you have to watch this, especially in regards to the rain element. The wind element's kind of a slam dunk because we're talking about a large scale gradient wind. So everyone will feel it on the East Coast. But the rain, this could miss the marker. A lot of the heavy rain could be over water. Then it could be more onshore. The bullseye could be over the Outer Banks. And then as you can see, given what the GFS model is going for, maybe a bullseye that stretches all the way up into the northeast. There's a lot of different solutions right now. The low hasn't formed, and that's part of the kicker. But when it comes to coastal storms and nor'easters, this is going to be forming about 24 hours before you get the rain. So it doesn't really allow for much of a wiggle room, especially when you're talking about that potential of a level 2 flash flood threat. So it's best to prepare for that level 2 to be your neighborhood, meaning that street flooding would be the largest concern, but the effects of the coast will by far be our biggest concern.
Yeah, you can see those wind gusts close to 40 to 50 miles per hour, at least through Saturday. It seems like Saturday afternoon probably be a big time for gusty winds, and that is tropical storm force. So, you know, again, that just goes to show that you don't need something named. You don't need to have a hurricane nearby to see significant impacts. Even for spots like Garden City, 30 to 40 miles per hour. I don't think this will be a widespread power outage issue, but you could see a few isolated instances of some trees falling over, toppling on some power lines. So just a couple of different things that we have to look out for as this forecast begins to evolve. The GFS is certainly highlighting a little more of that northward progression, and then the Euro wants to drag this thing a little further out towards the east with that ridge of high pressure kind of locking it to the mid-Atlantic.
And yesterday, both models were locking it over the Carolinas.
Exactly.
So you have to be prepared for changes to continue to pop up. What will make it come more into focus is really that late Thursday into late Friday timeframe. I think that's when a lot of the computer models will kind of find something to agree upon and find more of a solution to all of the details, but you really have to focus on the impacts. I think the biggest thing to communicate is don't get hung up on, is this subtropical, is it not, does it get a name? Throw that out the window. What you want to focus on is how much rain am I going to get and the wind element. And if you live at the coast, the big wave action and the coastal flooding action is going to be a big kicker, especially because of what we have been dealing with in these locations. Some
spots they could use a little extra rain, so you know it could be helpful with drought. The Northeast, at least today, it's very beneficial rain. We've had an exceptionally dry summer, so just all things to keep in mind. But yeah, wind, rain, and big surf.